Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with a bad habit. Baya, baya. In a menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to get straight to it. So before we get into anything, let's get to this intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, make sure you do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. Thank you. We're going up on this channel, and it's all because of you, and I'm very humbled for it. So the Santana Row killing in San Jose sparked a lot of controversy, and it continues to do so. You know, the youngsters that actually committed this crime or alleged to have committed this crime went to court yesterday. And one of them was released on an ankle monitor. Okay, a 16-year-old. There was 3 16-year-olds, one 18-year-old, and of course the one that they're saying actually did the stabbing, the killing that took this young man's life on Valentine's Day in San Jose was released, right? Now, look, I'm not for incarceration of the youth. Never have been. Having went through those situations, having been locked up as a kid, losing my childhood to jail for acts that I committed. There's no denying it, right? I don't wish that upon anyone. I reflect and I think back to my juvenile days and being in the California Youth Authority and how dangerous and treacherous it was. It was truly gladiator wars, truly gladiator school. You know, I hear about prison, about the Corcoran Shoe Wars, and I hear about Tracy Gladiator School, and I hear about all these different places, and I've been to both those places. But I could tell you nothing compared to the Youth Authority and how you had to deal with the gang-banging mentality, the kid games that were being played, the viciousness of people earning stripes trying to prove themselves, and even worse than that, the administration or the COs, or what at that time we called them GSs, not giving a fuck, not caring, not paying attention to what was going on around them, and in fact, in some cases, encouraging the violence. It was wild, right? So when I see these youngsters committing these crimes, and I think back to my days, I'm like, wow, they're gonna have to go through some circumstances and some shit. But times have changed, things have changed. Okay, these younger gentlemen that commit crimes are no longer being sent to the youth authorities. There are no more youth authorities in the California system. There is no more system in the California system when it comes to juvenile offenders. They are all sent to juvenile hall, and because of a proposition that was put out there, they're getting slaps, a slap on the wrist. That's it. They're getting to go home, right? Now, of course, that's like a get out of jail free card. That right there, where it should be a deterrent, you should set deterrents for kids to do better and to educate themselves on what they should and shouldn't do. They're actually making it so that they're not being charged harshly or judged harshly or having to go through any hardship like we went through. And what's happening is these kids are running wild. They're going crazy. So anyways, you know, for those of you that don't know, let me catch you up. On this year, on Valentine's Day, a young man was having dinner with his girlfriend. He was a young kid. He was 15 years old. And he had planned this event this evening for a while with his girlfriend and made it special, bought roses, took her to a very nice restaurant in Santana Row. Now, those of you that ain't from San Jose or have never been to San Jose, it's in the South Bay area, Northern California. Gang-related, yes, but there are nice areas, and Santana Row is one of those nice areas. So it wasn't like this kid was looking for any type of drama or trouble. It wasn't like he was out there gang-banging and representing colors of anything. He was just having dinner on Valentine's Day with this girl. That was it, man. He was trying to impress her, I'm sure. And according to everything that's been said by the family, by friends of the victim, by law enforcement, he was not affiliated or associated with the gang whatsoever. So colors didn't matter to him. Now, I say that to say this. They should have. Okay, let me explain to you why. And I just talked to a homeboy from San Jose the other day who has a son, and he's like, he expressed it too, like that he expresses to his son, like, hey, colors, certain teams that you wear, the way you dress, it matters. It shouldn't, because they're a child and they should be able to do them, because they don't have that mentality. They're not thinking about gangs. They're not even in that realm, right? But it does. See, in cities like San Jose, Los Angeles, Merced, Modesto, any fucking city in California, team apparel like this Raiders hat can get you killed out there in Oxnard, right? Depending on what area you're from. Colors can get you ran up on if you're in the wrong area wearing the wrong color. And it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but it is. You know, when that movie Colors came out, it was it was phenomenal. It was a phenom, right? Everyone tripped. Everybody started tripping on colors. Everybody thought they were a Crip or Blood or a North 8 Thug or a Southsider. And then all of a sudden, you know, you started seeing people you start to notice it more. They were already doing it, but I, after watching Colors as a kid, started to notice more of the color banging people distancing themselves from red or blue or whatever color. So anyways, this youngster's in San Jose, Santana Row, having dinner, and he's wearing red. Now, he was wearing red not because he was a Norteño or because he was associated or affiliated with the Norteño movement, because he was having a Valentine's Day dinner, and the color red is associated with hearts. It's associated with the red balloons. It's associated with Valentine's Day, period. Roses, all that. Red roses. And so this boyfriend and girlfriend were both dressed in red coloring and clothing, and they were just doing their thing. And they were ran up on. This guy was ran up on by these individuals that were also wearing red themselves, but they were in disguise. They were actually allegedly associated with the Southsiders, whose predominant color is blue in Northern California, especially, right? But these guys were undercover. They had a plan, and their plan was to wear the color red to blend in and to approach guys who they thought were Norteños or associated or affiliated with the Norteño gangs and put in some work, right? They were going to put in some work. They're youngsters. This is what young kids do. I understand, because I've been through it, right? The whole thing in a gang is to prove yourselves, to prove that you're that bad motherfucker, right? To your homies. And there's only one way to do that, and that's to put in work. And what I mean by putting in work is to usually beat up on innocent people, or for the most part, when we were gang banging, you know, other gang members. So it was like, they're living that life, we're living that life, let's live that life, right? But in this case, they approached a guy because he was wearing the color red. They assumed, they made asses out of themselves for assuming that he was part of a gang. And what happened next was tragedy. What happened next was they jumped this guy, and ultimately a 13-year-old pulled out a knife. The youngest guy in the group, it usually works out that way, right? Pulled out a knife, and this kid was stabbed right in front of his girlfriend, right in front of the restaurant, right in front of other people, and of course, video surveillance and everything, and God himself. And so these guys fled the scene. Well, it became national news. It became big news, and they got arrested. So it was 3 16-year-olds, a 13-year-old, who they're saying is the actual killer, and an 18-year-old. Now, one thing about the state of California is this. If you're in a group and one guy commits a murder, you're all, and in the commission of, say, jumping someone, you're all going to get charged for it. That's usually that's how it used to go down. You know, I've had homeboys, man. I had one homeboy, unfortunately, he was giving a homeboy a ride, and he pulled up to a store, and the homeboy went in to go grab some beer and got into it with the clerk, and the homeboy shot the clerk. Came out, the homie was like, what happened, bro? He's like, motherfucker acted crazy. I gave him the business. They both got charged with murder, and they're both locked up for it. And the homie didn't even know what was going on. It wasn't a premeditated thing. He didn't even have no prior warning. I'm sure he would have just got on like, fuck that, I don't want to be involved. But he was involved because they tried to say it was a robbery, and he was involved in the commission of the crime. And because he was a getaway driver, even though he wasn't inside the store when it happened, didn't even speak to this dude, wasn't seen on surveillance shooting this dude. Now, he got a little bit less time than the homie that actually did the murder, right? Because the homie stepped up like a G and was like, that was me. But he still got charged, tried, and convicted, unfortunately, right? And that's a fact. So with that being said, all these youngsters are going to be charged. Now, the 18-year-old, he's going to be tried as an adult, and he's going to get some time. Now, I don't know how much time he's going to get because he's not the one who actually did the stabbing. So if he gets a good lawyer or a good public defender or whatever they give him, he's going to get some action. I see him doing about 10 years, depending upon his criminal record. Not very long. They'll probably hit him with the he'll take a lesser charge. He'll take a deal, I'm sure. Now, these 3 16-year-olds that were involved, one of them, and it's crazy because people are on the streets screaming and crying for justice. They were at the courthouse yesterday. The family of the kid that was killed was there in force, and there was a lot of people supporting them. You know, and I understand they want justice for him because it seems like justice isn't being had in, sir. No, it's not, sir. Right? No, sir. No, sirree. You know, the judge understands, I'm sure, what's going on. The district attorney understands for sure what's going on. There's a lot of people that understand, but because the way the rule of law is in California right now, these youngsters are getting away with murder, literally. So yesterday they all went to court, and one of the 16-year-olds was released. Now, I don't know why he was released. He was released on the ankle monitor. He still will have his day in court. I think they go back up to court May 27th, so it was pushed ahead. Why he was given the opportunity to given the ankle monitor while the others weren't, I don't understand. You know, maybe he's talking, maybe he's telling, maybe he's not. Maybe they just decided his family was able, and his lawyer, or maybe he had a paid lawyer and the others didn't, were able to convince the judge that he wasn't a flight risk and that he needed to be home with his family. You know, it's crazy. And when dealing with juveniles, it's a lot different. You know, someone like myself or any other adult, like if they don't want to let you out because they think you're a flight risk or you're a danger to the community, they're just going to keep your ass in the oil. They're going to keep your ass slammed back in the county. It ain't nothing. See you next court date, buddy. Bamuski, right? But with juveniles, it's a little bit more of a delicate situation. So because the way the laws are, these guys that are tried as juveniles are not going to get a lot of time. In fact, the word on the curb is the 13-year-old, and he's only 13. He's still a baby. He's still little. He's still little. I know dudes are like, oh, and you're right. When I was 13, I was already in the youth authority for murder. Like I was already thought I was fucking John Gotti, right? I was already doing my thing. But let's be truthfully honest right now. I got a 13-year-old daughter, man, and it's like she's still my baby, right? They're still little kids. Their mentality is not there. I don't know. There was something in the water in the 90s that made us a little bit different. I'm not trying to say these motherfuckers now ain't with the business, but I'm just saying back then we thought we were the business. You know, that it just is what it is. Those that understand and recognize what I'm saying get it. They're saying that this 13-year-old, albeit, is the one that they're saying actually pulled out the knife and stabbed this guy, that he's only looking at maybe 8 to 9 months in a ranch, a juvenile ranch. That's crazy. You know, when I think about it, and I think about, you know, the crime I was involved in as a kid, and how, I mean, directly, indirectly, however you want to say it, you know, I was there, I was involved to a certain degree, and I did some time. Like, I was looking at a lot of time. I got lucky. I took my little deal and got what I got, right? Didn't seem like much of a deal when I got to YA and fucking got maxed out anyways. But it was what it was, right? So now I'm thinking the pressures that I endured and I experienced compared to what these juveniles now are looking at, no wonder they're killing people left and right. No wonder gangs are recruiting people even younger than we were back then. I mean, I was a youngster. I didn't literally get recruited. I just included myself into the gang, right? But there's a lot of youngsters now being recruited at a very younger age at a higher rate because they could do the criminal activities and put in the work for the auto or for the group or hood or gang without any repercussions. 8, 9 months ain't shit. He's not going to learn a lick of nothing. He's going to go in, chill with his homies, laugh, eat cereal in the mornings right there in that little camp he's going to be in, learn how to do some chores, maybe a little bit of structure, and then get right back on out to those San Jose streets to press play and then repeat. It's crazy, right? Now, what they're talking about, what the speculation is that a couple of the 16-year-olds may be charged as an adult. And if that's the case, then they're going to get a little bit of a harsher sentence. It's crazy because the way it might work out, believe it or not, and these are facts, because of the way the laws are, all them guys, the 16-year-olds, the 18-year-old, are probably going to do, in fact, I'm not even going to say probably, they are going to do more time than the 13-year-old that actually did the stabbing and the killing. Makes you wonder, huh? What's going on here? You know, do I think a 13-year-old should be in prison for the rest of his life? No, absolutely not. He's not even fully developed enough to have the social thinking skills or to know what he wants in life or to understand how bad gangs are and how bad certain influences could, put him on the wrong path. He's not fully developed yet enough to understand. I believe there should be a chance where he is given an opportunity to explore some other opportunities, like maybe the military when he gets older, maybe placed in a facility until he's of military age and forced to go to the military, to learn some discipline. I believe the reality is he took a life. He killed someone over a color, and he needs to understand that there's repercussions for that. That guy's family, that kid's family is in mourning. They're out there on the steps of the courthouse demanding justice and seeing nothing in sight. Now, of course, the 18-year-old, yeah, he's going to do a little bit of time. The 16-year-olds, they may or may not do a little bit of time. But the 13-year-old that actually did it, what is he learning? What is he getting out of this situation? Not too much. He's getting an understanding that the system is flawed and that you can get away with these types of things. And that only creates a monster. I had a homeboy, and he was with the business. One of these days, I'll do a profile on him because he has a crazy story, right? He's still active in the gang, so that's why I kind of lightweight. See, I got a lot of homeboys that are still with the business, still in active. That with the business doesn't mean, I glorify. It just means they're still gangbanging. They're still active, still good in the hood, right? And so I don't like to tell a lot of their stories. I could tell a gang of stories, man, but I don't like to do it because, first of all, I'm not trying to get them caught up in anything. It's none of my business, and they wouldn't like it. They just wouldn't like that, and I respect that, Anyways, I had a homeboy, right? And I'll say this without saying his name. He was with the shenanigans. And he kept going in and out of jail. And he liked it because he was getting these little slap on the wrist. He got out. He was like, oh, man, prison's fun, bro. It's all the homies. We were doing this. We did a removal. We smashed on some Southsiders. They got off on us. And I mean, it was like, to him, going to prison was just like part of the game. It was part of it. Like, he enjoyed it. Oh, I don't give a fuck. I'll do the blast. I don't care. Until he got sat down for a minute. A big minute. He got sat down for a nice mid-sized minute, right? They supersized him. McDonald's shit. Then when I talked to him on the phone, what happened, bro? Fucking prison sucked, eh? I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah. I told you. See, when the reality set in that there's going to be some repercussions for your actions, that there's actually going to be some, something that a debt you're going to have to pay back. You're going to have to sit down. Yes, man, that's when a motherfucker finally realizes. So I don't think that this youngster is going to learn anything. I think he's going to get out of jail free card. And I think it doesn't have nothing to do with what he did. It's the flawed system in California. It's crazy. Maybe they're going to repeal, this law or whatever. This could be the foundation or, set the precedent for that. Either way, man, these kids went to court. And like I said, one was released on the ankle monitor. Two were held. And again, man, the ankle monitor shit seems kind of funny to me. I think that dude's snitching, but that's just me thinking out loud. The 18-year-old, of course, man, his bail was denied and he was sat down in the county jail for the duration. So he's going to go to prison. Facts. And then the 13-year-old's probably going to take a deal, man, or give the harshest punishment, which is 8 or 9 months in a juvenile facility ranch, which is basically like going to summer camp. It's crazy, right? Back in our days, man, they were handing out YA fucking sentences like water. They were just giving it away free. And, man, I seen a lot of youngsters. And it's crazy because I was young when I say youngsters, like dudes that were my age, but I looked at them different, right? Because I was already a murderer. I was already a gang member. I was already associated and affiliated. Came into fucking YA with a tattoo as a kid. I just thought I was cool, right? What a dumbass I was. And I seen a lot of guys nervous, a lot of guys, and I'm not going to lie, deep down inside, I was nervous in a motherfucker. I was scared, man. I was young. You think about it. One of my homegirls just told me yesterday it was a trip. She mentioned, I didn't say too much on it, but it made me think. Like, man, you lost your whole life as a kid. You were torn away from your family and all that, all them years you did. And how did that affect you? Like, do you think about it? The thing is, I wasn't torn away from no one. I wasn't taken away from anyone. I did that myself. I tore myself away from what could have been a positive and good childhood, and instead put myself in the pit with a bunch of snakes and culebras and fucking and bad people. You know, I remember my mom used to say the old saying, "Hey, stop hanging around with those kids. They're bad." I was bad. They were the good ones. I was the one influencing them. It's crazy and it's unfortunate. That's why I teach my children different. But I'm transparent and I realize I'm accountable for what I've done. Let's see how accountable these kids are for what they've done. It's a vicious cycle, I'm sure. But the word on the curb right now is they're not looking at too much time at all. And the victim is gone. His family is doing life now. They're doing life without their son, without their brother, without their uncle or whatever. And these other kids are going to be out free to kill again. It's unfortunate. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. And of course, that's the betterment of all people, man. Thank you.